doesn't care about Jewish people.
Oi.
She may be Jewish.
Now I ain't saying you ain't queen, Esther.
She's the queen.
But why you gotta be so mean,
She
Esther?
may be Jewish.
Now I ain't saying you ain't queen,
But
Esther.
she's the queen.
But why you gotta be so mean, Esther?
You better leave.
Get down, girl, to Shushan
You
Town.
better leave.
Get down, girl, to Shushan
You
Town.
better leave.
Get down, girl, to Shushan
You
Town.
better leave.
Get down, girl.
She may be Jewish.
Here in Shushan, in what is now called Iran, King Achashverosh laid the charm onto your king to his prom. Now if you do it little nasty, he would do you no harm, just like he did to Queen Vashti, but now she's dead and she's gone, and you're wrong. The king likes him young, he likes his virgins. He didn't know you're Jewish, all he knew was you're Persian. Virgin, Mordechai, he f***ed up my plan. I was gonna kill the Jews because my name is Haman. Now I ain't saying you ain't queen, Esther. But why you gotta be so mean, Esther? Now I ain't saying you ain't queen, Esther. But why you gotta be so mean, Esther? Get down, girl, to Shushan Town. Get down, girl, to Shushan Town. Get down, girl, to Shushan Town. Get down, girl.
Welcome to Hanukkah Erotica Book Club. I'm Raizel, and I'm here with my stepsister and co-host Malya. Hi, Mal.
Hello.
You might hear like a little laughter in our voice because I'm here recording with the wrong headphones. And so instead of those like earmuff-like headphones, I have regular like earbuds in, and William said that I need to get the other ones again, but I don't have them right now. So instead, I have a tight headband over my earbuds, trying to kind of hold them in, kind of like a Spanx for my ears.
But it also, the headband I feel is like the headband that like Betty Draper would have been wearing at 9:30 at night. Like it's very...
Because it's the positioning of it. Like if it was just back behind my ears, the way
it would just look regular,
but
right.
It's because it's over my ear. So anyway, I look bananas. I feel completely nuts. And it's hard to look at myself on Zoom and see Malya's face looking at me. So that's
you
why.
look great.
Thanks.
I like it.
Thank you.
It's a costume, apropos for...
Perfect.
Hey, look at that.
It's my Purim costume.
Yeah, tradwife.
Frazzled tradwife.
Frazzled tradwife Purim. That could be a novel.
Oh, that would be an amazing one. Okay, so tonight we're doing A Masc for Purim by Roz Alexander. But before we do that, Molly and I usually... Well, you know what? First of all, welcome to our listeners. If you're here for the first time, we review Jewish romance books.
Yep.
We're also stepsisters.
We are.
And we usually kind of recap, our last episode, how it all went, thoughts.
Let's do that.
Yeah. Any feedback from our last episode? Our last episode was Hot Lumberjack, the much anticipated sequel by Aviva Blakeman, sequel to Hot Rabbi.
Yeah. First of all, just on a personal note, listening back to this, the sound effects really put it over the edge for me, especially because it was a very busy week here, and William was like, I just got to get out the podcast before the weekend. So I just thought he was basically
bare bones,
putting the audio out bare bones, which I was totally fine with. And then there were all these little delightful sound effect surprises. The chainsaw that kept going off really cracked me up.
No one loves, I love the sound effects, so I don't want to say what I'm about to say and make it sound like I don't love the sound effects. I do. Malya does. Nobody loves the sound effects more than who?
Your mom.
My mom. I'll get a text from her that's just like, William, because she's in the middle of listening. William's a pisser.
So sweet.
Yeah, it's great. They're great.
They're very funny.
My mom loved the episode.
Oh, good.
Yeah, she was laughing. She couldn't stop laughing. And I guess it's time for our Jonathan segment. Jonathan
Okay. Of course.
loves that there's a segment. He said
Great.
the greatest thing of all time, which is that having his own segment reminds him of Tino in My So-Called Life, never to be seen, only to be spoken of.
He's like the legend. That's right. We never saw Tino in
never
My
saw
So-Called Life,
Tino.
but she was always rushing off to see him.
Exactly, but we've never met Tino.
Though. Right. And we never would.
Yeah.
Tragically.
And, you know, I thought maybe Jonathan would come on one day, but maybe he won't, and I'll just hear about him.
He prefers to be Tino.
Yeah. So Jonathan thought that the part when I couldn't stop laughing. See, I wasn't sure how that would be received, the Cumberjack. The laughter, you know, I couldn't stop laughing. And how does it feel to just listen to someone else cackling or really crying?
Like, is it annoying? Like,
No,
what?
he said it was delightful.
Oh, that's so sweet. Great.
Yeah, made me feel good.
Okay, that's
So that was good. That was good.
That's
and then,
confidence
and then
inspiring,
I spoke to Aviva Blakeman about the episode.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. And I think it's fun for her to hear it, which is really great. I love that.
It's so nice that she listened. Like, I don't know.
I know.
I don't know if I would listen as an author.
It's so nice that she did.
Yeah.
She said she got very bad news and it was like the perfect distraction for her.
Oh.
And that she really enjoyed it. She's taking notes on the comments for her next book. But then she described Campbell. Campbell's the town, because I guess we have some notes.
We were talking a lot about that, right?
Basically, Campbell is an amalgamation of the small town her dad grew up in, and the utopia place she wants to live in, and it's set in the mountains in Wyoming. So like middle of nowhere, but also I made a point to make all the characters really Jewish, even if they're all different flavors of Jewish, because there's just not a lot of that out there, even and especially with the names. So it is like a utopia.
Right. Wow, in the mountains of Wyoming. I did not picture that.
I was picturing the South.
Right, you said that. I think I was thinking more like the Midwest, like somewhere like Indiana, like somewhere sort of like banal. Mountains of Wyoming, I don't even know if I could picture them. Yeah, like that's totally different.
Sexier than I could even have imagined. But Mal, anyway, then we talked a little bit about, other things. She used to work at a synagogue and the minutia of the parents. Anyway, it was great. I love talking to her. But I realized something, that you and I were saying that Elon and Abby had nothing to be fighting about. Like they were just... But I think we missed like the whole point of the book, which was that he was a lumberjack cutting down trees that she didn't want being cut down. We never met.
I considered that actually, that we completely skipped over that whole part of the plot.
Me too. Like as soon as we ended the episode, I was like, oh my God. We left out the only conflict.
Yeah, except that, okay, well, I don't want to I don't know if we want to get back into it again.
Hot Lumberjack,
but
we loved it. Check it out.
Yeah. I have more to say on that, but I'll...
Okay, no, say the last thing. I want to hear.
It's just that I think that she had sex with him before she knew he was that lumberjack.
I think so too. That first
and
scene.
then later on, the conflict presented itself and sort of intensified why they already felt, like she felt this hatred for him, but I still felt like the original hatred didn't really have a basis. But I'm willing to suspend my disbelief. It was great.
She probably knew he was a lumberjack in town and probably didn't like trees being cut down as a part of her personality. Even though that didn't come up in the car sex scene.
And you pointed that out too, but there was sort of this weird dichotomy where like they had been knowing each other since they were 11, but also they seemed to like kind of be acting like strangers. So it wasn't clear how much they knew about each other, I guess is my point.
Right. Anyway, Hot Lumberjack, check it out. Check out the episode. We had a great time recording it.
It was very fun.
It was so much fun. Doing this with you is so much fun for me. It really is. By the way, I think I have strep.
Oy.
Vinny has had it 3 times in like 7 weeks.
Oh my God.
It's crazy.
Wait, maybe one of you, because that used to happen to me as a kid, and then it turned out that like my brother had it the whole time and had no symptoms, and I just kept catching it from him over and over again.
So I went to get a strep test this morning. The rapid was negative, but I had them do a culture. Mitch is going to get a culture. But even like as I'm talking, I feel like my voice sounds weird. Like, I don't know.
You sound normal to me, but does your throat hurt?
Yeah, but it might be in my head, honestly. This headband, this is too much.
William was well, I feel like we shouldn't skip the fact that William's messaging that, according to the Steinsaltz edition of the Book of Esther, the rabbis, speaking of Cumberjack, the rabbis concluded that Esther was so beautiful, just the mention of her name would cause seminal discharge.
Okay, couple notes. One, I don't see that chat. Was that a private DM to Mal, or because I didn't see it?
Oh, I think it's just to. Is it just to me?
Yeah, that's.
Oh yeah, it's just
I
to
never
me.
knew that. I never heard that.
Neither did I.
I think once you told me something about like a woman walking by in red.
You mentioned this before on this podcast.
It must have really been a core memory.
It really stuck with you.
Really stuck with me.
It was something about like if a woman walks by in red, like that could cause a seminal discharge. That made us think that like the people in that time were just maybe much less exposed to sexuality in general. Like that a woman in red could like
Just
get
the
them
mention,
so,
right, just the
like-
mention of Esther's name.
Right. It could just be like they were walking around, like women were wearing like full, you know, like hijabs or something. And therefore, like even the mention of Esther's name, they were so sensitive to, I don't know, this.
Right. Meanwhile,
Times have changed.
Meanwhile,
Yeah.
times have changed because we are reading a lot of smut.
We sure are.
And
there's
I
a
think
lot
that's a good
more than the
segue.
mention of Esther's name going on.
Exactly. Okay, so I think so. A Masc for Purim for our readers is by Roz Alexander, who wrote Higher, the butch for butch romance that we've read on Too Stupid to Live, and we loved it.
Yes.
And loved Roz. And I think
Yes.
a very important place to start here is the note from Roz. Can I read
Absolutely.
it? Okay.
Please.
Because and another thing is that after Higher, Roz DM'd us and they thought it was funny that I was like, Roz is a very sensitive person because I guess maybe they don't feel that way. But
Right.
But here's the note, and then you tell us. Note from Roz. This story is about a butch bisexual Jutina, parentheses Jewish Latina, and a white tomboy femme Ashkenazi lesbian. This entire series, Hot for the Holidays, is about queer Jewish people falling in love and having hot, explicit sex. Sex in Judaism is celebrated, is a mitzvah, a good deed / commandment, is divine. These stories are meant to honor and uplift Jewish love, including interfaith love, and also to be loving, honest, and hopeful about the modern Jewish community. Already love it. Okay. That was me.
Totally.
And mostly I wanted to write some gay Jewish smut. The Jewish community includes people of a multitude of races, genders, sexualities, abilities, as well as a wide spectrum of beliefs and practices. There's no one right way to be or do Jewish. And the absence of an identity or belief here is not a condemnation on my part. Then there's all the content warnings.
Oh, yes.
This story contains ADHD rep, alcohol, angst, lots, deceased parents, including the character learning about the death of a parent, eating, including emotional eating, explicit sex, internalized ableism, on-page and historical, penetration, progressive vision loss, Stargardt disease, sex toys, and as always, a happily ever after. Then there's a whole note on progressive disability. Living with and responding to a progressive disability can be a very different experience than being born with or later diagnosed with a stagnant disability. Addressing one's own sense of ableism can be a moving target. This is all to say, Carrie's response to her diagnosis is just one story. We need more disabled romance in the world. Finally, on the whole own voices thing. It's a complicated conversation, how something created to be helpful to writers has been warped by capitalism, and I'm not getting into that here. I want to give a huge shout out of gratitude to sensitivity readers, though. But in case it is important to your reading experience, I am Jewish and also live with adult diagnosed ADHD, and I manage my own progressive physical disability. It is not the same one that Carrie deals with in this story, but I too was diagnosed as an adult. If in any way that doesn't fit with what you want or need out of a story right now, this might not be the one for you. Besimcha, Roz.
Okay, well, that note is great. I honestly don't think I completely understand all of it. What does she mean, the whole own voices thing? What is that?
Okay. I was looking into something else. It's not that I did research on this in particular. I think we need to get back to our listeners on the whole own voices thing, because I was looking something up today and an article came up about Jewish romances, but maybe from 2020. And it said something like something was part of the own voices. It's possible that it was part of a movement to have more authors writing stories from their own experiences.
Oh, I see. Like the fact that, she's writing about adult diagnosed ADHD, and she also has been diagnosed with as an adult with ADHD. So it's like she's
Yes.
I see.
Yes.
It's her own voice. It's her
Yes.
own experience.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes. I
understand.
I think that Roz goes by they them.
Thank you.
Yeah. But yes, exactly. So they're saying that they want the readers to know that Roz was diagnosed with ADHD as an adult, and Roz deals with this own progressive physical disability, but it is not Stargardt disease, but was diagnosed
I
as
see.
an adult.
Got
And
it.
so but we can get more into the own voices as we learn more, but I actually stumbled upon it today.
Interesting.
The note is great.
Yes, like the last one, very thorough list of trigger warnings here.
And sensitive.
Yeah.
I also like this idea that if any of that doesn't fit with what you want to read right now, then just skip it. Because I'm feeling that way when it comes to like even like TV, like, I don't know. There's just like some, you have to be in the right mood for certain books, for certain things, whatever, for content in general. And I like the warning.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I think I used to be sort of skeptical of the idea that, that a thorough warning like this would kind of ruin whatever you were about to see or read, because it's like, well, if they tell me what all the warnings are, it's basically summarizing the content of the plot of the book, and then why, it's sort of like, I'm not going to be surprised by anything. But I think the point here is that it's not about the surprise. It's not so much about like the plot twists and turns. It's about enjoying the world that's being created.
Yeah, I
and
agree
if you're
with
not
you.
going to enjoy that world, then don't bother,
Yeah.
because here's what it's going to be.
Exactly.
Which is great.
Yeah, come back to it if you're going to be ready at another time, or skip it. But
Yeah.
here's the thing. I was very interested in this book, and I wanted to continue reading, which was good. Because listeners, as you know from our last episode, we were planning on reading this and Tales from Perach, a chapter in it, which was a Purim-based chapter of Shira Glassman's Mangoverse fan fiction fantasy stories. That was like the stories within Knit 1, Girl 2. Like within that book was this other world of fan fiction they were into. Anyway,
Right.
those books Shira Glassman really wrote, and it's called Tales from Perach. Anyway, that was not for me. It was very hard for me. It was like all fantastical. Like,
Oh, interesting.
it was like it was not a romance either, I don't think.
Okay.
And so Malya and I are focusing on a Masc for Purim for this episode.
Yeah, when you told me that, I hadn't even started the Mangoverse book, and I felt like a Mask for Purim was rich enough that we could
Oh,
it stands on its own.
It completely stands on its own. We have a whole plenty to discuss. Anyway, then there's a glossary, which we're going to skip. Okay, so here's what Masc for Purim's about. It's like a second chance romance. Liza works for her shul. Actually, she volunteers for her shul. Sorry to interrupt myself, but here we have another utopian small town.
Yes.
Like, what? This town has enough, like, interesting queer Jews interested in celebrating Purim that they have this big gay Purim party called, like, Purim.
Yes. And that the whole story basically takes place. One of the main things that
do it.
One of the main things that I loved about this book was that, like, it really conjured the feeling of like an epic party where just like things just keep happening. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like you feel like it should be another day or another week, but no, it's just the same night, like an epic party night where it's just like so much is crammed into one night. And then when you're reminiscing about it, you're like, wait, was this all the same night? But yes, it was. Like,
Totally. There are flashbacks.
yeah, sure.
But you're totally right about that party. So Liza's planning this epic Purim party, this epic big gay Purim party, and she's actually a dentist. And
Dentist by day, queer Purim party organizer by night.
she volunteers like for 10 hours a week at the synagogue, and it's the same synagogue that Tali from Higher was at, by the way. You remember Tali Blue? And I love her immediately because like she's like trying to get a stain out of her dress and like on the very first page, and then like she's like, I mean, like, hasn't dated in a decade basically, and
Right.
and like immediately is starting to like her mom's laying on guilt, like mentioning her ex. Like, have you even gone on a date since Carrie? Like, she's like taking deep breaths, practicing meditation, like trying to practice all these things she learned from a meditation app to not get stressed about it. But like, you know, she's feeling stress and guilt from her family pressuring her about that. Plus, you know, she's having her own feelings about this loss of this breakup, even though it was a decade ago.
Right. She's not over it.
No. And that was a breakup in her 20s. She's older now. But she's like all ready for Purim. She's excited, getting ready for the party. And at the party, before she runs into Carrie, spoiler alert, there's like a lot of sexy people there.
Totally.
She
And a
needs-
lot. And she says later on that it's one of the queerest cities in the country that they're in. And this party is very just like lots of different like a drag queen doing a like a Vashti
Megillah reading.
performance, and like it reminds me of it's like that character Stefan from SNL who's like, this party has, you know, dwarves on stilts, it has, you know, I don't know, like punk motorcyclists, like it's like you're imagining just like wild fantastical things going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of amazing looks. There's a lot of amazing fashion.
Yes.
There's a lot of amazing costumes. There's Hamantashen. The Hamantashen play a role here also because one of them calls them Orejas de Haman. The Hamantashen also like used to bake. So when they have a flashback to when they initially first met, it was actually on Purim. And like watching Liza eat the Hamantashen was like very sexy and a big turn on to Carrie. Carrie baked them. They were delicious. Like the Hamantashen kind of play a sexy role here, which
Yeah, there was like a line that's like she gave a pornographic moan as she bit into the apricot Hamantashen.
yeah. It's like not explicitly saying what the Hamantashen really is, but it's sexy.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, meanwhile, Carrie, who, even though they broke up 10 years ago, moves to this town. My headband's just like slowly falling down my face.
Can you push it up, or is it going to push out the earbuds?
It's not great.
The audio's going to sound so good.
It better, because my ears are throbbing.
Oh my God.
Anyway, Carrie moves back to the town, and it seems to Carrie that Liza's single because she's like been like doing a subtle internet stalking, but Liza's like set to private or whatever. Like they don't know a ton about each other in the past 10 years.
Also, this is another one of those like connecting threads to Hire, because it's like Carrie moved back to the town to become the baker at that bakery that was like a point of contention in Hire, where like the rabbi was dating the baker's granddaughter, and they had broken up because he insulted
yes.
the kiddish cookies. That was where our whole kiddish cookie thing stemmed from.
Oh, okay, yeah. I forgot about that tie-in.
So this is like now Carrie's the new baker who's gonna like reinvigorate the terrible kiddish cookie. So now like we're in for great kiddish cookies at this synagogue.
Oh yeah, an amazing Hamantashen. She's a very good baker.
Right.
Very good
Right.
baker. I'm happy you made that connection because I was just like, why is there a bakery in every book we read? But this was actually like the same
It
bakery.
was the same one.
Because
Yeah.
but there are bakeries in a lot of Jewish books because we haven't even read all of the same Jewish romance books, but there are a lot. There's a Babka one that we haven't read together, but I read one's a Jean Meltzer book, like Kissing Kosher. There's a lot of bakeries.
And I was thinking that, oh my God, Menorah in the Middle was all about a bakery.
Oh, right, Menorah in the Middle. And then the Jennifer Wilk book was about a bakery in Morristown.
Sure,
The
sure.
karaoke, do, that book.
Yeah, of course. I don't remember what it was. Home
There was
for
a
the
bakery.
Holidays?
Yeah, Home for the Holidays.
yeah.
A lot of
Yeah, yeah.
bakeries.
Agreed. Well, you know.
I do, but it's like in my Jewish life. I eat baked goods, but like I don't know really much about the inner workings of the Jewish bakery world.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
The bakery is not like the center of Jewish life in your constellation.
No, it's like you place an order there every now and then. In my school, we have to place an order for challah once a week, but like from Gertel's. But it's not like I don't know who works at Gertel's, but what their romances are like, you know.
I actually think it's kind of hard. Like, there's actually not so many kosher bakeries. Like, I always feel like it's actually hard. Like, in Manhattan, I feel like there's no kosher bakeries.
No, there aren't. You have to go to Brooklyn or like I think Zadie's in New Jersey's a biggie. Anyway, okay. We digress.
But, here they're major. And listen, Hum and Tashin are big.
Of course. Hamantashen are big. Yeah. So anyway, Carrie's coming back to this town, and Carrie had been diagnosed with Stargardt disease and has for the past 10 years experienced progressive vision loss.
Yes.
Which we learn was the impetus for the breakup. So they see each other, then we get a flashback to the night they met, which was like an instant connection, a hot and heavy relationship, filled with angst, filled with romance, filled with big young love feelings, a lot of intensity. Roz does such an amazing job describing what that feels like, and then also what that kind of breakup feels like. I can comfortably say that I have never read a breakup on a page like the way that Roz wrote Liza and Carrie's breakup. And like the feeling of loss. Mm-hmm. And the pain, because Carrie gets a so anyway, they have this intense thing. Good relationship, I think it sounds like. And Carrie gets this diagnosis of Stargardt disease, and
sounds like kind of a perfect relationship, actually. Like, it's like they've been dating for years. I forget I think Liza's father dies, and she like totally falls apart, and Carrie's like completely there for her, just like super supportive, super like just like everything you would ever want in a partner. They're talking about getting married. It seems like things are super smooth sailing.
Yeah, they're talking about getting married a week before this diagnosis, and the diagnosis comes.
Right.
And Carrie cannot handle the relationship. It's so painful. She's so scared. She's so afraid of this disability. And again, this is like when the whole like this concept of ableism comes in, and our preconceived notions about abilities and disabilities. And of course, people with all different kinds of abilities deserve love, deserve romance, deserve this amazing relationship. Carrie can't both get this news and know that what's coming and also stay in the relationship, and they break up. But I really do feel like the way that the breakup is written is like so painful and real and palpable, and I really don't feel like I've read a breakup like that before on page.
Did you feel though, like, okay, I hear what you're saying. Like, I agree the emotions are like, I feel like this is another one of those books that's actually like a little bit akin to 8 Kinky Nights in that way. Like, these are characters that are like really exploring their emotions. They're in therapy. They're using different techniques to calm themselves. Like, there's a lot of talk about that. So, and all that is very like rich and believable. I a little bit felt like the central plot point was not so believable to me though. Like, in the sense that, can you have, I understand, like, this is a devastating thing, her like, and in that moment, she can't imagine, like, she's just like, why would I want to, I'm not worthy of love, whatever she's feeling, and she leaves. But would it really happen then that, like, neither of them would contact each other and they would just be separate for 10 years? Like,
yeah, I think the part that's not, I think the breakup is believable. I think the part that's not believable is then rekindling after a decade and then having incredible sex while the McGill is going on.
Right.
And getting back together.
Several times. Like, during this party, there's like many like sexual encounters between them. So that's why I was like, it's the kind of thing where you're like, is this still the same party?
No, I think that the second chance romance thing is a fantasy. Like, that's why it's a trope in romance books.
Totally. But I'm just saying, I don't think that it would have happened. Like, to me, I hear you with the second chance thing's a fantasy. I feel a little bit like the idea of it, they would have had this big, like, she gets this diagnosis. She's like, I gotta go. She packs up her stuff. She leaves. But like, when one
she
of them
hears the car driving away. Ugh.
Yeah, it's horrible. And just that feeling of like wanting to beg the other person to stay, like, but not like, but also like there was very painful, that moment where she's like begging her to stay, but also reminding her to pack socks. Like,
yes.
It's like you're so intimate in each other's lives, and like you want the person to have socks, where their socks are. Anyway, I just question if it's like, that all was like very real and like really painful, and I was right there with it. But I still feel like one of them would have called the other, or like one of their friends would have called the other, or like it just wouldn't have happened that then literally there'd have been 10 years would go by with nothing, especially since they both acknowledged super quickly that they still loved you. Like, in light of that, how could there have been no contact after that one fight, especially since it didn't seem like they had a fraught relationship. It seemed like they had like a perfect relationship.
Well, it sounds like based on what the conversation that they were sort of both waiting for the other one to come back. But how could Liza have gone back? She was devastated, and
I guess, right.
Of course, in real life, there's like
right. It's not real
calls
life.
with ugly crying, and like
yeah,
cringeworthy emails. I don't know.
Or like even Connor, who's like the guy that Carrie moves in with, and Liza believes that they were in this, like, they then are in this serious relationship, but then 10 years later, Carrie clears up that they were never really anything. They were just sort of like friends who supported each other. That, like in real life, I feel like that guy would have called Liza and been like, your girlfriend's sleeping on my couch. Like, she's devastated. You got to call. Like, I don't know. These people had a whole world together.
Right, but the thing is, because there was a lot of loss and a lot of things that they had to work out, it sounds like Carrie was in therapy for 10 years working on things before she then came back.
Right. It's a very positive vision of therapy here.
Oh my God, I know. It's a really in support of therapy. I was like, wow.
Seriously, right.
Then she shows up in like a stunning suit because Carrie's so handsome and just my type for our listeners who know.
Thought she might be.
And so she's like in a handsome suit with a gorgeous mask and a cane.
Right.
And also, because of her vision loss, keeps like looking out, like tilting her head to the side because there's black spots, and it's the way that she's able to see. But
right.
like even Carrie's head tilt is like very sexy.
Yeah.
And when they first actually interact at this party, because of the mask, like Liza doesn't even know it's Carrie, just like sees someone that she's attracted to. Right. But it's Carrie. Anyway, she discovers it really fast. Also, another thing that I love is that like Carrie notices that like Liza now has a shock of gray hair that's very sexy. She's now a silver fox. So am I. So I was really like excited to see that on the page.
Right. We've talked about silver foxes in the past. Right.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I just
wait, and is she the Jutina?
Carrie's the Jutina.
Carrie's the Jutina.
Yeah, the Orejas de Haman, that's Carrie's the Jutina, yeah.
Right. Yeah, so I'm just imagining like dark curly hair with gray in it.
Oh, wait, Carrie had the gray? I thought Carrie was into Liza's gray.
Oh, I remembered Carrie having the gray.
Maybe I'm
wrong.
It could be.
I don't know.
You know what? You could be right, but whoever it is, there's some gray, and I'm proud to see that on the page. Anyway, so you get great representation for gray hair. There is no content warning for that, but you should just know it's there.
You can add to give a little podcaster's note there.
Yeah, exactly. Also, yeah, no, I was thinking the same thing about the therapy. Like, just like it's in such a support. It's a support and advocacy for therapy.
Right. Like, it might take 10 years, but like you will come out and you will know what you want and why you failed to get it, and you will go after it again.
And the person will be single and available and just completely slaying and still in love with you.
Right.
And a little bit angry, but only enough to make your sex be better, not like angry enough to not be able to be
5 times that you have it over the same Purim party.
But yeah, I also just like Liza's inner monologue. Also, like Roz writes characters. By the way, you're right, similar to Zan West, that are but different. Because Roz's character, Liza has ADHD, maybe not adult diagnosed, though. Roz it said adult diagnosed, but this character had ADHD, and for the night of the Purim party, didn't take their Adderall so they could drink.
Oh, right.
And like I just like the way that she is like preparing for this night, and also like thinking before she goes into the night. I'm like going to the very beginning in the book again, where she's like thinking about like what's gonna happen for the night, and like I could flirt, right? Like flirting's like a science. You just listen and tease and smile too much and make eye contact, right? Ugh. But like I've never thought of a definition of what flirting is, and it made me laugh.
That is funny.
Listen and tease and smile too much and make eye contact. I'm like, I guess that is it.
That's basically it. That's a good summary.
Yeah.
I think it was adult onset because I think the whole thing was that like Carrie would sort of notice about Liza that her mind was like going random they would have all kinds of relationship shorthand for like Carrie noticing Liza's ADHD sort of symptoms. Or what later they realized were Liza's
You're
ADHD
right about that.
symptoms.
You're totally right about that.
Well, which just feeds into like this perfect relationship. Like her ADHD symptoms, which I would think like undiagnosed ADHD would be like an issue in a relationship. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, of course, that could be a challenge.
yeah, but no, for them, it's just like, it seems like it's only another endearing thing that she loves more about her and wants to support her through. Like, it's just like, again, there's like, this couple is just perfect.
By the way, Malya was right. Liza is the one that talks about Carrie's gray.
See? I have an eye for a silver
like
fox,
this.
Rachel.
Yeah, Of course she looks good. Of course she's aged like fine wine. Of course the gray streak in her hair is handsome and curly right above her eyebrow like a model. And of course she smells good. By the way, listen to this description of how delicious Carrie smells. Carrie smells even better than she looks. She smells like a campfire and lavender and musk and Carrie. And I should have known it was her immediately upon smelling her, which is probably a weird thing to say, but it's true. Oh, how I hate her and all of her stupid charm. Sexy.
Sounds great.
Yeah,
it's a
sounds
great
great.
smell.
Great smell.
But also, I'm sorry, aged like a fine wine. How old are these characters?
They're definitely way
supposed to
younger
be?
than us because it was 10 years.
So I'm saying they're like 35.
They were in their 20s and then they became in their 30s. Yeah.
I feel like I feel like that description doesn't match. Like, I'm not imagining someone in their 30s, like in their mid 30s.
Because back
Age
to the
like a
Zan
fine
West
wine.
book, like they were in their like early 50s, which I really appreciated.
Totally, yeah. That was great. No, this is great too. I just feel like it's conjuring an older image to me, but whatever. I'm with it.
Yeah. She looked a little older than she did in her 20s.
Understandably.
Okay, in terms of Jewish content, like they're in this synagogue. I'm just curious what you thought about like kind of like the way Purim was woven in, Judaism.
Right. I mean, I think that Higher had like Jewish content was much more of a focal point than it was here. I felt like here the Jewish content is more of the backdrop.
Right. It's like they're at this Purim party. There is one crisis looking for the yad.
Oh, right. Like the drag queen's looking for the yad?
Yeah, like, or someone at the shul, but maybe it's to give it to the drag queen because the drag queen's emceeing the Megillah reading, which I thought was funny to call emceeing.
Right, like what does that entail?
Like it's laning, isn't it?
MCing.
Like what is it when you read a Megillah? Laning?
But I
or
think MCing is not laning. MCing is like being the
hosting
sort of
the
like
event.
yeah, like you're maybe if like different people are laning different parts of the Megillah, the person who's coordinating all that is the MC.
I'm not really sure, but there was a crisis for the yad, and I liked it.
I was the
yad-
MC at my sister's wedding, and it was like, and now, Rabbi blah 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 will read the ketubah.
Oh yeah, and they're like, something. What is that word? At a wedding.
Something.
Yeah, like at a wedding. When it's
What
like,
is it?
It's like the MC is like saying that this rabbi is coming up to do the next bracha.
Oh, like, and now mechubed with the first bracha.
Yeah,
Rabbi
mechubed
blah
with
blah
the
blah.
first bracha.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
so
yeah.
from.
mechubed,
What does
right.
that
I
mean?
said-
What does that mean?
Like honored. It's like kavod. It's just like a from way to say it. Like,
Oh, with the honor of or whatever.
with the honor of the first blessing is,
Say it again in a Hebrew.
mechubed. But I'm also making like that from accent.
But that's how
Mechubed with
it's
the first
said.
bracha. And it's usually like, is Rabbi Laser Wolf, Morid Asra of the Yeshivas, Har Zion of Lakewood, New Jersey. And then he gets up and does it.
Yeah, and you like can't
that
hear a
would be
word
me.
he says.
Right. The real tragedy at my sister's wedding, by the way, was that since I was the MC, I wasn't informed until at the wedding that I had to have my shoulders covered because I was going to be under the chuppah. But that should have been conveyed to me before the day of the wedding.
That's how I feel about these headphones right now.
Oh, shoot. I walked right into that one.
Wait, so what happened? Were you wearing like a tallis? What were you wearing?
I put on like a scarf, like a random scarf that my mom had, but like it didn't match my dress. I just looked like a Yenta. Like I had like this like cute sleeveless dress with like a random like a hippie shawl over it.
Should have been conveyed.
Should have been conveyed. It was lovely. It was a lovely event.
It really was.
Yeah.
It really was.
Anyway, sorry, Purim.
But the thing is, like, are we just reading so many Jewish romances that we're almost like desensitized to how much Judaism really is in it? Because it's like they meet at a Jewish event, they have this idea where like they want to engage in Jewish stuff on campus, and then they're like involved in the synagogue, and then she joins the synagogue.
Right. It's no, I think you're right. There's a ton of Jewish content. I mean, Judaism is the whole
backdrop. I understand what you're saying.
But I don't mean backdrop like it's just the town they live in. Like it's the setting, it's where life is happening.
Totally, it is.
It's like in a Jewish context.
Right. But like
I really do think the sexiness of an epic Purim night like cannot be overstated.
No. There's nothing hotter.
No, I mean like it's just like it's got it all. This I'm Stefan again. This party has it all. Like it really does.
It does. The masks. The drinking.
And it could be anything. It could be like a queer centric drag queens reading the Megillah, or it could be like, I don't know, a shul social hall. Like with I don't know, something much more old school, but still like it's still
I don't think my Purim's gonna be so sexy this year though. It's like I'm leading Purim Tot Shabbat at our shul.
So cute.
So cute. Very G-rated, as it should be.
I would hope.
It's only you're probably 2-year-olds and under.
Great.
Very, very Hamish and sweet.
Nice.
I gotta come up with my my set list.
For the Tot Shabbat?
Yeah, because it's like, you have Shabbat songs, but it's Purim Tot Shabbat, so I have to weave in a lot of Purim songs.
I'm sure you're quite well equipped for that.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell the story. But we don't have any like adult, we have like the regular Megillah reading, I guess. I thought one thing that was funny was that like Liza kept acting like she wanted to hear the Megillah, like she wanted to stop talking to Carrie. She was trying to stop talking to Carrie to be like, I want to hear the Megillah.
That's cute.
Which is like,
you're supposed to be quiet during the Megillah.
They weren't.
That's like one thing that like you're supposed to hear every word of the Megillah. So I remember being shushed very aggressively as a child during the Megillah.
I guess Haman didn't come up. The Grogger. There was no mention of it.
There was a hashtag Save Vashti.
Oh,
which was funny because in her last one there was a hashtag Save the Bees. She's very into hashtags.
Yeah, totally.
I like Vashti kind of being reclaimed as sort of like a queer icon.
Yeah, I do too.
That's cool. That has kind of potential for me. Also, here's a question. So, like, the culmination of Liza and Carrie, like, rekindling their romance, Carrie, like, gets up and sings? Right? This is, like, almost the very end. I don't know what, again, this Purim party is somehow still going on. And now there's, like, I don't know, maybe there's a talent show like segment here, or like people are singing, but suddenly she's on stage and she's singing, like serenading Liza, and she has a terrible voice. Like it's acknowledged that she's a terrible singer, but like Liza thinks this is like super sexy and beautiful. Like she doesn't even care that she's a terrible singer. She's just like up there declaring her love. And I was wondering, like, do you find that relatable? Like,
no.
Meaning, like,
I'm at that part of the book.
If someone's a horrible singer, but they're getting up and singing for you, like to show me, I don't care. I'll humiliate myself as a terrible singer. Like that doesn't. It doesn't. I don't know.
I don't relate to finding that to be something sexy at all. William's sending me links to like headphones right now. You have to wait till we're done. No, but like I don't. But also, it's like. That's part of why. Did you see the Barbie movie?
No.
Okay, so there's a really, really funny scene in the Barbie movie where all the Kens are like, can I like, can I sing at you? And then they just
Okay.
like sit in front of the each Ken sits in front of the Barbie and just sings at them, but they're
funny.
singing like, I wanna push you around, the Matchbox 20 song. I was crying.
Yeah.
Like when I saw that movie in the theater and the Kens were singing at Barbie,
It's really funny.
that Matchbox 20 song, like I couldn't but like, so yeah, I don't find being sung at sexy.
That song is very funny.
It's very funny. Very funny. You have to watch the movie. It's very
Okay,
funny.
I will.
But I don't, being sung at isn't sexy, but also like most of the time, not all of the time, but most of the time when a guy has like taken out his guitar, most of the time it's been cringe.
It's so cringe.
Like there's like a very specific exception in my life,
Okay.
but like
fair.
it wasn't even done in a romantic way. It's like that was like so fun, like playing guitar with some one person, like, but like it wasn't meant to be like being sung at. But
Right.
like any time in my life a guitar's been taken out,
It's not going anywhere good.
it's like I could tell lies to myself that like, oh, because like whatever I'm interested.
Sure.
but no.
We're all very good at that in the midst of relationships.
Of course.
But, or at least at the beginning of them. But
Of course.
Right. I mean, listen, like talent is sexy. So if somebody's great at something, whatever it is, it's going to be sexy, including playing
course.
guitar. But just someone getting out a guitar and like strumming, saying like 3 horrible chords, which let's be honest is what most boys do with guitars. It's just like,
So this is Carrie singing. This is Carrie. But then so there's like all different groups. Like first is like a men's choir singing some version of Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah. You know that. You know
Yes.
that one.
no shul event is complete without some version of that song. I feel.
And then as the music fades out, Queen Esther says into the mic that there's a surprise singer. My head whips around trying to find Simon. When I catch his eye, he shrugs and shakes his head at me. He has no idea what's going on either. I'm skipping ahead. Okay. But then the group in front of me parts, and it's Carrie. Carrie is standing in the middle of the stage, holding the mic, mask off, missing her suit jacket, leaning on her walking stick. Her walking stick is very hot. She's buttoned up most of her shirt and all of her pants, thank goodness. I could tell even from here that she's nervous. My mouth is dry and my eyes wide as the Megillah scrolls. Oh, my eyes wide as the Megillah scrolls. Sorry.
Right.
Got it? May must have followed me through the crowd. That's her friend. I feel her words glance past my ear. What is she doing? I just shake my head, but I'm already laughing. The choir behind her continues to sing a song from our long ago past, but softer now. Carrie lifts the mic to her lips, and I might die. Am I already dead? Someone once told me that it was incredibly romantic when people embarrass themselves in the name of love. Her voice is shaking. I know this is going to be tragic. The smile on my face might just get stuck forever. Yet none of this would make me smile. Like, stop embarrassing yourself. It's embarrassing me.
Embarrass
Get
in the
off the
name of
stage.
love.
Get
Why?
off the stage. Stop it. And maybe when you love someone so much it feels like your chest might explode, then you have to do anything you can do to let her know you can't live without her. Carrie's eyes are closed. I close mine to be with her there in the dark. I want her to feel me there. Anyway, then she sings.
Right. It's terrible, but somehow it's like the perfect declaration of love. I couldn't really get behind that.
But I can't confirm it because I'm moving forward, tears running down my face, dripping into my engineered cleavage. I'm climbing onto the stage like I'm 20 again, and she's the best thing I've ever seen.
Again, like I'm 20 again makes it sound like they're much older. Like you
Exactly, because like
like I'm 20 again. Like you're 32. Like I don't know.
I think that we've lived enough life and we've seen how fast time goes that for this to work in books, it needs to be like 30 years. But honestly, maybe in 30 years, it'll also feel like a blink of an eye. I don't know.
Sure. I just feel like they're being depicted as like these like I don't know, old gray
gray ladies.
Yeah, exactly. When I don't know, but I again, that I'm fine with. I mean, I like all of it. I get that it's a fantasy. This part of the fantasy doesn't do it for me.
No, for sure, someone embarrassing themselves in the name of love is nothing but embarrassing.
Right. And you're embarrassed by proxy because you're like, I'm now embarrassed too. Why?
We're
Why
all
do
just
any of this?
embarrassed,
Yeah.
not turned on.
Yeah. Be serenading anyone, that's very hard to pull off successfully.
There's a show that you don't watch that I've brought up a few times, which is Love is Blind, and our parents love it now. I'm sure
They
my mom
talk about it all the time. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. They tried to bring it up. I think they were devastated when we were like, we don't watch that, because they were like, what are we going to talk about now?
You know, the truth is, you and William would really have a lot to talk about with that show, but there have been a few times in the pods where when they don't see each other, where they start serenading each other, and a guitar comes out, and it is, it's hard to watch.
But it's supposed to be like the expectation is that the audience thinks that that's cringe, right?
The expectation is that we, the audience, do, but the women on the other side of the door, I think, kind of pretend
seem to
like
be loving it.
They're at the very least pretending.
Interesting. All right. Well, that's a complicated situation that they're in.
But like, what if like you're with the band,
Right?
like what if like that's a little bit different than what we're describing? We're describing someone like being embarrassing.
Totally. That's what I'm saying. Talent is very sexy. So if like there's a rock star who writes a song for you, that seems pretty sexy. But that's because they're successful and good at what they do.
Right.
They're not like Ken singing at you or like someone at the Purim karaoke. Which, is that a thing?
Everything about this party is perfect.
Yeah. And again, just there's so much, which I love.
I don't know. It's making me need a good Purim party.
We're going to go to a good Purim party this year. It's like a family-friendly one. Like, it's not going to be like this, but the like Chabad in our neighborhood is like taking over this big kosher restaurant in Gowanus, and they got a permit for the whole street outside. So they're going to have like stuff out on the street. I think it's going to be really fun. But again, like
Really
family-friendly fun, not like hashtag Save Vashti fun.
Right. Right. Exactly. Both
But I
fun.
would like to hear if our listeners have any epic Purim fun of the Save Vashti variety that they would like to share.
Please tell us. Molly and I used to have a freaking blast on Purim.
We did. We had some
We
good...
still will, but it's more family friendly.
Right. We had,
Like
you
Purim
know...
Tat Shabbat.
Exactly. We had some more raucous times. I think the
Really?
only time that I ever threw up from drinking too much alcohol was on Purim.
Oh, yeah.
That was not
That
so
makes
fun.
sense.
Yeah.
Because you're
Ugh.
supposed to be so drunk you don't know the difference between the names
Hanukkah, Mordechai.
Achashverosh and Mordechai, I think.
I don't think it's Achashverosh. You're already there.
I'm already there.
Yeah. Or you could just wear a tight headband.
Hey, what
Have
is
the
the
same
names?
effect.
What are the names?
Haman and
Mordechai. Achashverosh is a different holiday.
No. It's the same holiday. It's just a different character.
Oh, right.
Oh, man. Gotta brush up before that Tat Shabbat.
I have to really brush up before the Tat Shabbat. I'm supposed to do a whole acting out of the characters, and I just thought Achashverosh was from... It's the right holiday.
It's the right holiday, yeah.
So you're not
Totally.
supposed to know the difference between the names Mordechai and Haman.
Right. Because Mordecai's the righteous one and Haman's the villain.
Right. You'd have to be really drunk to not know the difference between Achashverosh.
William saying more Steinsaltz Purim trivia. Esther had a greenish hue.
Maybe because she was so drunk.
She was drunk?
She had a greenish hue.
Oh, like she was nauseous?
Why else would she be green?
I don't know. I think that there's all these like like William saying maybe she had olive toned skin, like sort of green, like she was a Jutina.
I see. I was picturing something else.
So was I. I think that there's a lot of like rabbis riffing on like she wasn't really beautiful, but like the miracle was that the king thought she was beautiful, or like she was so beautiful that people would have seminal emissions just from saying her name, or like I remember I heard this one that was like the miracle of Purim was that, you know, the whole thing was that the beauty contest, each woman slept with the king like for a night. That was their and then he chose Esther as the one he liked the best after his night with her, and that there's some sorry.
No, you go.
And that there's some thing that's like the rabbi said that Esther like did not participate at all during the sex. She just like lay there, but that the miracle was that the king thought it was the best sex he'd ever had. Okay, it's her.
Could you imagine being picked after that situation and then like continuing with the relationship?
No, it's a nightmare.
Like, wow.
It's crazy.
He sleeps with all the women,
Right.
picks her, and she's
Right.
supposed to be psyched.
Now she's the queen.
Ugh.
Yeah, horrible. Well, I think women had limited options in those days.
Ugh. On her being greenish, I've been trying this like greenish eyeshadow lately
Oh,
in an attempt to be greenish myself.
how's it going?
Stunning.
Great.
Yeah.
I don't have colored eyeshadow really.
I mean, it's like an iridescent thing, a little greenish. It's really
She
nice.
may have actually been green like an alien, Williams. That's crazy. What do you mean green like an alien?
What about like, do you ever like see colors around people?
Yeah, sure. Like an aura.
Like an aura. Maybe it was
Yeah.
her aura.
All right, she had a green aura.
Another thing I really liked about this book, I'm just making sure we covered everything I wanted to cover, was that there was like a shtick where Liza was like referencing her therapist, and Carrie was like, "I love it when you call your therapist by their first name."
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I love that. Like, that's very relatable to me.
Do you call your therapist by your first name? Their first name? Yeah. What else are you going to call them?
Yeah, but also like in reference, like when I referenced, I don't have one now, but like for my Park Slope therapist, Marla, like for many, many years, like, well, Marla says,
Right.
You know,
right.
just
like
talk
it was
about
just
Marla.
part of the parlance. Yeah,
Of course,
yeah. Like everyone
well,
knows
like
it's
Marla
a
was at
character.
Marla
right.
was at our wedding, like
Sure.
Marla says, but like
She was at your wedding? That's so nice.
yeah, during the right after the chuppah, there's a picture of Mitch high-fiving her when he's like walking down the aisle.
It's really cute.
It's a really great picture.
Love that. Such a good neurotic Jew moment.
Mitch high-fiving Marla.
Yeah. We did it.
But he had never met her. Like he had never met Marla.
Right. Really cute.
But yeah, Marla then became a lot of my friends' therapists, and she when she met like the third or fourth one of my friends, she's like, "What do you have to have gorgeous hair to be friends with Rachel?"
Aw,
Really cute.
that's really cute.
Love Marla. Anyway, I really appreciated that. Like bringing up your therapist name in conversation was very relatable.
Yeah, huge
And-
ad for therapy, this book, really.
And also, I think just like in the end, like, you learn that Carrie kind of becomes involved in a disability activist group and
Yes.
kind of really starts to embrace is the wrong word, but I think accept the disability, the condition, and be able to live life with it. Maybe even embrace.
Totally. Yeah. I think that, like, she really, she has a transformation. And that's why
Yeah.
she comes back, because she's sort of ready to re-engage as her new self.
Yep. A lot of angst. The sex, we did not get into how it was a lot of sexy sex.
Oh, yes.
Hot and heavy.
Flashback sex. I think that's why I thought there was so much sex in one party, because some of it was actually a flashback sex scenes.
Exactly.
It wasn't actually.
Flashback sex, present day Purim party sex. It has it all. But also, there's something about them and the way that they love each other, relate to each other, get each other, talk to each other, that just feels multidimensional in a way that I really appreciated. And I love Roz and I love their books. And I can't wait
I also
for more.
like the fact that, like, if you remember in Roz's last book, Higher, it was a big issue that the two butches were both tops.
Oh, yes.
And like they had to like negotiate what that would mean for their relationship. And then there's a moment in this book where it's like, I thought you were a top, and then they're both sort of like, whatever, who cares?
No, but the issue was that like Liza was a top. It's just that she was a virgin and didn't know what she was yet.
Right.
And they hadn't done anything yet. And so at one point, I think one of them was worried, like, wait, are we just friends? Like nothing had happened, but they would like really
Or
liked each other.
thought that the other one was asexual.
Right. Are you asexual?
Right.
Which now we know more about from our books. But it wasn't, she was like, no, I'm not asexual. I thought that you were a top. And I liked it, the way that they talk about it. And yeah, we're definitely learning a lot through all these books.
Yeah, I mean, it was very seamless. Like they had that one conversation, but then it was just like their sexuality was very compatible, just sort of in a very natural way.
But I think that from that very first scene where they met at that college Purim party, Carrie knew, like, in her gut that they were going to be compatible by something Liza said. Like, I'm going to lead in the dancing.
Yes,
Like,
yes,
I think
yes.
Carrie knew that. They were
Right.
going to be compatible, even if it was before Liza even knew it.
Totally.
And she was right.
She was.
I think it's interesting that in both Higher and in A Masc for Purim, it's like they're both stories about two women. And in Higher, they're both like Masc women. But in this one was Masc and one was femme. But really, Roz doesn't identify as a woman. And I think it's interesting that we haven't had a book yet about someone who is non-binary.
Good point. Well, I saw that the other book that's out so far in Roz's holiday series is a Passover one. I wonder what the characters are in that.
Oh, yeah. Matzah. What is some matzah something?
Matzah something.
Matzah something. Books in this series.
Matzah mash. A femme butch Passover romance.
See,
So,
again, two women.
interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay,
steamy
do you
lesbian love story. Right.
Do you remember when I saw that Roz was like on a break, on hiatus, and then we talked and then it was off?
Of course I remember.
Now I have really bad news. It's not on hiatus. It's worse. It's retired in parentheses.
Oh my God. What?
I know.
That's crazy. Why?
It says Roz Alexander, parentheses, retired on their Instagram handle. I don't know if they're saying their Instagram is retired. I don't know.
Or they have retired from
I don't know.
what?
It says retired pen, sapphic romance, a little sweet, a lot spice. I'm Jewish and disabled, and so are my characters, with a kissy face emoji. But I want more. I love Roz's writing.
That's really sad. I was really uplifted when I don't know, Roz wrote us that whole sweet, endearing message that we inspired them to consider writing more.
I know. But there are a lot of books because there's also a whole series of like Friday night sexy shorts.
Oh right, you said that.
There's
Okay.
like a whole little series of Friday night sex.
That's fun.
Shabbos sex. Okay, Mal, we got to wrap this one up. I loved this book. I love talking about it with you. But should we talk about our next book
Yes, please.
before we wrap up? Okay, so we are reading a book. This is totally new for us, totally new for everyone. Because guess what? This is the first Jewish cowboy Western, we think.
Ever.
We think ever, yeah.
Very exciting.
Rebecca Crowley wrote a book called Texas Cowboy Sweetheart.
Great.
And this is the description. The land they love might tear them apart. Josie Starr knew one day she'd step into her father's boots and take over the Lone Star Ranch, but she hadn't expected it to happen so soon. When her father collapses, she trades her corporate desk for a dusty tractor to shoulder the legacy of generations of Jewish Texans. She's ready to take her place in the Lone Star's history, with a little help from Easton McKinney. The ranch foreman is her lifelong best friend and a man for whom her feelings once ran much deeper. The Lone Star gave Easton the stable home his upbringing lacked, but when Josie returns, the dirt beneath his boots crumble. She broke his heart when she left, and now she's his boss. He'll help her find her feet, but he won't abandon his dream of running his own ranch. Maybe her homecoming is the kickstart he needs to finally move on from the farm, from the Lone Star, and from her. When Josie uncovers troubling family secrets, she needs Easton more than ever. But can he stay knowing she's forever out of reach?
Wow.
First Jewish Western.
Didn't mention anything Jewish in that description.
Did you hear the one word Jewish? Did you miss it?
I did miss it.
When her father collapses, she trades her corporate desk for a dusty tractor to shoulder the legacy of generations of Jewish Texans.
Gotcha. Okay. Sorry. I was focused on the whole ranch hand boss dichotomy. I'm excited for this one.
We're going for it.
Awesome.
So it's called Texas Cowboy Sweetheart. If you're reading it with us, and it's about a long line of Jewish Texans.
Very exciting.
They say everything's bigger in Texas, and I'm looking forward to this read.
Woohoo.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, happy Purim to our listeners.
Happy Purim. Hope you all have very fun, epic Purim parties.
Couple of notes. Follow us on Instagram, Hanukkah Erotica Book Club. Leave us a review. This podcast is produced by William Levin, and it is sponsored by Hanukkah Pong, beer-shaped Hanukkah, menorah-shaped beer pong. Sorry, it's late.
Gotta take that headband
And it's
off.
available on Amazon, Hanukkah Pong.
Get it.
And you gotta get it. So, thanks, Mal. This was fun.
Really fun.
Roz, come out of retirement.
Please.
Please do. Mm-hmm. All right. Good night.
Good night. Night.